Hi, my name's Sunde and I make coloring books and greeting cards and other art things, but I also make pies because to fund Sunde Industries for a few years, I had an illegal pie cart on the streets of San Francisco called Pie Fridays. So here's a recipe that I'm going to share with you guys for Thanksgiving. It's a double chocolate pumpkin pie with a chocolate cookie crust. So here's the recipe for the double chocolate pumpkin pie. So this is a really easy recipe. Anyone can do it. You start with this chocolate cookie crust that I made a video of how to do it, and it just takes a couple minutes. And these are really easy because it's a custard pie, and that just means it has egg and cream, and you just whip it together, throw it in the pie pan, and put it in the oven, and that's it, you're done. It's super easy. So this is what we're gonna do. We have the pre-done pie crust, but we have to wrap it in aluminum foil because otherwise the pumpkin filling takes so long to cook that the crust ends up burning, which it still tastes good, but it's kind of a drag. So this just protects it from the heat enough that you can get all of your pie filling cooked. Because if you don't bake it long enough, then the pie filling will eat through the crust and it'll float up to the top, and it's disgusting. It happened to me before. Alright, so we have this, so we're going to set this aside. So we're going to use something that's called a double boiler, which whenever I used to read that in recipe books, I'd be like, I'm not going to do that recipe, that sounds really hard and scary. But a double boiler is so easy. All it is a couple inches of water simmering and heating up this bowl, and then the bowl gets hot and it melts the chocolate. Cooking shows always say you can just put it in the microwave, which is true, you can put it in the microwave, but what always will happen is this chocolate, even though you break it up into little pieces and stuff, one part of it's going to burn and the other part's going to be solid, so just don't put it in the microwave, it never works out. So what we're doing here, this is so easy, this is going to slowly melt the chocolate, and why you're doing that instead of just directly into the pan is the flame will burn the chocolate, make it weird, and it'll end up just being just as bad as the microwave. So we put this in here and we're going to melt it, and then Andrea will time-lapse the video so that it looks, the next shot will be melted chocolate. So this chocolate is totally melted now, and I'm going to add a cup and a half of heavy cream goes into this recipe, but I'm actually going to, I think they call it tempering chocolate. I put a little bit of cream into this because what happens if you don't do that is this melted chocolate, when it goes into the cold pumpkin mixture, it re-hardens and it turns into just little flecks of chocolate, which it still tastes good, but it's not like a deep dark chocolate color, and the chocolate isn't dispensed as nicely all through the pie. So that's why I do this, because when you add it with all the cream, it just stays a nice chocolate, and it incorporates really nicely into the pumpkin mixture. So don't forget to do that. Sorry to go on a tangent, but as someone who's cracked 10 million thousand eggs, free range are amazing because the shell's really hard and the eggs are literally bigger and they are better eggs. That's just the bottom line, and it's not even like an environmental statement, it's just the facts. So try to always get free range. The chickens are happier and their eggs are way better. Okay, so then to that, we are going to combine a half cup of the brown sugar. This is a light brown sugar. And don't use cheap Trader Joe's brown sugar, it's horrendous. And I love Trader Joe's, but do not ever use their brown sugar. That's another learning experience I had once. So what you're doing is you're getting this sugar, because sometimes there's chunks too, you always want to make sure you break down the chunks. And get a little egg yolk out, a little egg shell. What you're doing while you add the sugar first is because it's the egg is going to sort of melt down the sugar and dissolve it, which will make it incorporate into the pie a little bit better. When I did Pie Fridays, I had such major guns from this activity. Okay, so now we're going to add, what I do is I put all of my spices in one bowl, because I guarantee you if you're just adding spices while you stand here, you're going to go, did I add that? Did I add this in? So this guarantees that you're going to have all the right spices. And by the way, there's a half teaspoon of salt in here. Please don't leave it out, because Salt is literally the most important thing to add while baking because it like keeps the flatness out of baking. Like you'll get that little, it's just like eating potato chips at the very end, you're like, I have to have more. And what that is that little bit of salt on the tongue like drags you back to make sure you have like 10 more bites. So please do not take out the salt. Okay, so I'm gonna whisk that all together. And then I'm gonna add, this is a cup of pumpkin. And everybody in YouTube world where you are constantly making fresh pumpkin pies with pumpkins that you roast, just don't even waste your time. Like, this canned pumpkin is the best it can be, and it actually has some butternut squash and stuff in it, but it's the most flavorful and it's condensed, and it's been sitting in a can, so it's gotten even stronger when you roast it fresh. It's not a very strong flavor, so please just make your life easy and just use it from the can. It's great. All right, so that's all whisked together. Now this cream, I just walked over to the oven because remember to incorporate your cream into the chocolate. So we're gonna quickly whisk this cream in here. And you guys, you can totally stop there. And like my favorite pie in the world, I actually use a ginger cookie crust, and this would be the exact pumpkin pie, a recipe that I use for a ginger cookie crust, and it's amazing. But what we're gonna do, so if you feel scared to try something new, make the chocolate recipe, the chocolate crust recipe, but use ginger snaps exactly the same way, and it's amazing. Probably a little less butter than with the chocolate crust. All right, so that's all whisked together. And then I'm gonna add the cream and chocolate combo. And I like to do this really fast so it doesn't seize up, which it shouldn't because I put the cream in there, but there we go, nice and chocolatey. If it does speckle, that means you didn't put enough cream in it, but it's fine. It still tastes freaking awesome. It just doesn't have as like luxurious of a chocolate coloring, but it still is great. And don't freak out if this is a really loose custard, because it is. It's really, really loose, and it shocked me the first couple times I made it. I was like, oh my god, oh no, but it's just, that makes for like an even more luscious filling, because it's not going to be like heavy, it's going to be really light. So we're going to pour this right in. That's so gorge. And I don't even need to scrape it or else it'll overflow. And that's it. We're going to put this in the oven, 350 degrees for between about 45 minutes to about an hour. You just have to watch it, kind of depends on your oven. So this is how you know if your pumpkin pie is done. I'm going to do a hand technique. If it's still undercooked, it'll swing like this. When it's done, it'll just be like a little nice jiggle and then come to a stop like this. Let's check on the pie and see if it's done. And this is almost done, but do you see how it's swinging back and forth? That means it's not quite done yet, but the outside's solid, but it probably needs another 6 or 7 minutes. So let's check on it again and see if it's done. So I just pulled it out of the oven, and it's a dark chocolate color right now, but I recommend that it sits overnight, because as it sits, first you're going to cool it till it's totally cool, put it in the fridge overnight, and when you pull it out, it's going to be like a really dark, rich chocolate color, because it actually deepens as it cools and sits overnight. So have a really great holiday and enjoy your pumpkin pie.